Hi, guys. Thanks for joining my YouTube channel. Let me start out by saying I am appalled, shocked, and every other verb that I can think of with the response of the 85-15 or the 80-20 or the 75-25 rule that you all are so flabbergasted about that Martel said Arionne was only the smaller portion, was only giving him the smaller portion of the 100%, that his wife was giving him the majority, you know, of that 100%. How typical is this? I mean, I guess most of you or a lot of you are not married or have never been married or have never seen this situation. Is so typical. There are men who are far more richer than Martel that have done this. This stuff is nothing new under the sun. Of course, he didn't think about what he had to lose. None of them do until it's too late. Okay? So, it was said on the panel that Melody took the relationship for granted. No, they actually, in my opinion, they actually have it in the reverse. They have it wrong. Martel took his wife, his children for granted in a major way. Martel never dreamed in 100 years that Melody would leave. Why? Because she took him back so many times. Martel got very comfortable living his specific lifestyle, which a lot of men do. Some women allow their husbands to do what they want, to have side pieces. It actually keeps them together longer because a lot of wives, some of them, say they don't know, some don't know, but some turn a blind eye to it because everyone wants the aesthetics of the long-term marriage. It looks good. This was an ego booster for Martel. Martel loved the way his family unit looked to the people on the outside looking in. They were the quote unquote power couple. Of course, his wife and family was the 80, 85, 90% to what the side chick was, quite naturally. He built a family with his wife and children. They built businesses. Okay, that was his status. That's who he was, the entrepreneur, the businessman. He didn't build that with Arionne. He didn't even have any kids with Arionne. So why would she be anything more than probably 15, 20, 10%? I mean, come on, let's use some common sense. Why would she be anything more than that? He was just simply going to her. Yes, he did wine and dine her. He did monetarily, help her. But he was just going to her for his sexual escapades, for the things his wife was not doing. For her to boost up his ego. And a lot of people, especially men, love someone needy. We could stay here for a long time and discuss this. Needy people. You understand? There are many in this world. There are many who are out to get what they can get. And some men, I'm going to say men, but I'm speaking of boys because men don't carry on in such a manner. Okay? Some boys love to feel like they need that, like you need them to take care of them. You can't do anything without them. Most boys can't take a strong-willed woman. You understand? A strong-willed woman who says, I'm gonna do this with or without you. I was a baller before you. I had money before you. And I'll have money without you. You understand? A lot of men, this does something to them. This breaks them down. A weak man, okay? Because we do have weak men. We have men who are still that little boy who never grew up. You understand? I touched on this. I talked about this, with the Marceaux of the world and the Martels of the world. Very weak, egotistical boys in men bodies. Okay? Perhaps they were the butt of the jokes. Perhaps they were teased in their younger years. You know? Perhaps sports was a vice, that they threw themselves into. I gave the example of people, runners, you know, a lot of marathon runners, a lot of people who, exercise to the extremes. There are all sorts of vices in the world. Some people turn to drugs. Some people turn to alcohol. Some people turn to work. Some people throw themselves into exercise. Some people throw themselves into cleaning their home. And these are a lot of narcissistic traits. That's why we say traits, because everything about a narcissist is not really that bad. Many people that we are looking at has narcissistic tendencies. You understand? And a lot of people do different things for different reasons. You might say they're a go-getter. You might say they have a strong work ethic. You might say, and a lot of times this is not the goal. They don't set out to do this. This is just so they don't have to really deal with society, something else that may be going on. You understand? It's like people fall into depression. You understand? Some people are functional and they are depressed. They get up, they go to work, they do what they need to do, but they're still depressed. Whereas other people are depressed, but they're in a sunken place. You understand? They can't do nothing. They have let the depression overwhelm them. And some people continue to work in their depression. Why? Because they have to. Why? Because if they don't, it won't get done. Why? Because if they stay in that sunken place, they have a lot to lose, majority of the place. I mean, sometimes we have doctors, lawyers, nurses, people in, good jobs that are depressed. Teachers, yes. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's just not, it is a very common thing, but you have different stages of it. Some people are on medication. They take it every day. Anxiety, all of this, people are suffering with this stuff. So, getting back to the case of the 8515, of course, Melody was the 85 or, the 75 or whatever number you want to put as the larger number. Of course she was. She worked and spent 12 years with this person building. You understand? She was 22 years old. They were young. And they built, they were building together. Of course, she would be the 85% or the 75%. But he had no respect for her, like he had no respect for himself or his children. You understand? Because of course, he had everything to lose, with his family. But that's not where his mind was. That's not where his mind was. He could care, at the time, he wasn't thinking about losing that. He wasn't thinking about losing that because the devil had him thinking that he wasn't going to lose it. You know what I'm saying? I've been doing what I've been doing this long, and getting away with it pretty much is what his head was telling him. She's over there, you know, he's saying she doesn't mean anything to him, but he's lying because you don't want to hurt your wife's feelings, although it's the ultimate betrayal, this secrecy, this cheating, this, and I mean, your wife's self-esteem is going through the roof, is becoming lower than low, because first of all, of course, she's going to compare herself to this person that you're cheating with. I'm this, I'm that, and you're going to go after somebody of a lower caliber, somebody who's not even on my level. This is very typical. This is very, very typical. We go back to somebody feeling like they need to help somebody. This person needs me. This person makes me feel like a man. This person doesn't, low grade me. This person doesn't talk back to me. This person knows how to humble herself. This person know how to be submissive. This person, but my wife doesn't. Perhaps my wife is taking me for granted. Perhaps my wife doesn't know the good man that I am. Perhaps my wife doesn't know the good father that I am. Perhaps my wife doesn't appreciate everything that I do. Oh, yes. Oh, yes. These are the lies that the devil is putting in your head. And if you're not keen, if you're not aware of this, if you're not aware of the trickery, you believe it. That's why the Bible tells us, for those who are, children of God, you have to pull down every stronghold that would exalt itself against the knowledge of God. When you have the knowledge of God, when you know what God says about you, what God says about marriage, what God said that you should be doing, you know what is contrary to the word. You know when it's the devil and not and not God telling you this stuff. Because it's either or. There's no in between. There's no in between. There's no middle ground. You understand? So the devil is playing trickery and telling him, oh, your wife don't deserve you. Your wife takes you for granted. You see, there are men that don't even spend time with their children, and you're the dominant, which is his favorite word. You're the dominant parent. You cook, you clean, you take care of the kids. You do all of this, and she can't even have sex with you when you want to. She can't even give you, a blowjob or whatever else, he was speaking of when you feel like you want one. She doesn't deserve you. So therefore, you have the right to go out and get you that 10% to fulfill, those emotions, those boy tendencies that you have whenever you have them. So you have a right. It's nothing wrong with that. Everybody does it. Plenty of men do it. And so what does he do? He goes out and do just that. So of course, she was just that 10, 15%. He, as well as Melody, told you he never missed a beat. He never missed a beat. Why? Because he wants to keep things going the way that they were going. He still was doing flowers. He still was doing date night. He still was taking care of the kids. He still was cooking. He still was doing what he normally did. Why? Because he liked the aesthetics of that family unit. He got so much respect in the street because it always looks good on the outside looking in. You understand? They didn't know the turmoil Mel was going in, would never believe it because of the image he portrayed on the outside, looking in. People envied people, they were the, how do they say it? The couple goals, you know. And again, people live vicariously through these things. You understand? That's why you have people rooting for them even till this day. Because they were a good looking couple from the outside looking in. You understand? And, people are putting aside, all of the abuse that Mel suffered under the hands of Martel Holt. And, they are really, truly going by, what their status was, what they owned, what they drive, the cars they drove, the houses they lived in, the beautiful kids, the couple aspect of it, the way they would coordinate dressing. People are amazed by this kinds of stuff, especially if you've yearned to have this in your own relationship. You understand what I'm saying? But as I've told the people, several times, nobody wins in this situation. Nobody wins in this situation. Not Melody, not Arionne, not Martel. None of the kids win in this situation. Both Melody and Arionne are victims of Martel Holt. So now what does he do? Okay, he got the divorce. This is typical. As I've indicated, I'm not going to name them by name, but plenty of men have done this, who has far more money and resources than Martel. But who does the onus fall on? The wife. It's her decision whether she wants to go or stay. Most women want to fight for their marriages, but how much are you going to fight? How much are you going to fight? There has to be a line. You have to draw a line in the sand at some point. You understand? You have to take some of the responsibility at some point. Because again, nobody wants to start over. Everyone loves the way it looks from the outside looking in. Nobody wants to break up their, so happy home. It doesn't have to be a happy home, but we got everything. We got the white picket fence. We got the kids. We got the businesses. We got the money. It's a complete, it's a complete 100%, but it really isn't. Some women have left everything to have their sanity, to have their peace of mind, to have their self-esteem back. You wonder why some women living in really excellent situations, prosperous, family has it together. So it looks. But, to money to some people is everything, but it's not. You understand? And some women have left, prominent, prosperous situations because of who their husbands were. Because they said, I'd rather have my peace, I'd rather have my sanity than to continue to be abused by this man. You understand? They did away with all of that. They did away with the facade and chose themselves and their kids. Okay? So now we have this situation here. Martel is going on his tour, to tell his side of the story. As I've indicated, Martel doesn't want Melody. No, I don't believe so. Martel had plenty of opportunities to get this thing right, even with having a baby on her, which is hard to come back from, I'm almost certain. Extremely hard, because it's an It's an everlasting hit to Melody. You understand? It's an everlasting reminder as to how her husband betrayed her, how he betrayed his children. You understand? It's a reminder, period. You know, he's a beautiful kid. It's a blessing. All children are blessings. But under the circumstances in which he was conceived was not a blessing. You understand? And knowing who Martel is about his children, that was a dig. Oh, I don't let her dictate. She don't have nothing to say about, how that's who he is. He's going to tell you, Frank, I don't care what anybody says. Not my ex-wife, not my mother, not nobody can tell me how to do or what to do when it comes to my kids. He's very bullheaded. He said this countless amount of times. It's not hard to understand who we are discussing and dealing with. Okay? You cannot want to restore anything to do with your wife, your family, your kids, and continue to tell your side of the story. Every time you repeat the situation that went on, you are digging the knife deeper and deeper. Deeper and deeper. Now you're saying that, you're mindful of the things that you've said and that you will say on a platform. The damage has been done, Martel. Everybody knows the story. And if you didn't say it on that platform, all they were going to do, because it is an interesting story, people are intrigued by it. All they are going to do, let me be the first to tell you, is go and Google it. So although you didn't say it on that platform, you've already said it on worldwide national TV, and it's in print. That's not going away. All they will do is Google you and hear you say how your wife cheated, how your wife this, how your wife that. I understand. I understand that you want to do away with it now. And perhaps you've learned, somebody told you the damage that you're doing, and you want to take these things into perspective now, but the damage is already done. It's too late. It's too late. You can move forward from here, but you have to humble yourself and do away with this situation. The same with Mel. Melody doesn't have to answer every question that's asked of her. It's her prerogative, just like she decided, to tell of her infidelity in her household and her husband was against it. She was a part of it. She felt like it was her story to tell. Fine. Tell your story. But there are other people involved. And like I said, understand, tell your story. Write your songs, do whatever you have to do for your healing process. If you don't want to consider the other people who's involved, that's why the Bible tells us to cover one another. But at some points, people feel like, no, I'm not covering them. I'm no longer covering them. What they did to me was, no, I need the world to know. I need to expose them so everybody handles their situation different. But the part about it is, this person, although they may not be the type of person to share their information, and a lot of people ride on that. A lot of people ride on that and think that they don't want the world to know what's going on, but they have the opportunity to tell their side of the story. And you can't dictate when it's going to stop or what they're going to say, whether it be truthful or a lie. They have their opportunity to tell their side of the story, and they're going to tell it. And there's nothing you can do about it. Why? Because you started the trend. And you can't determine or dictate when it ends. Same with Arionne. She was put in She was pulled into this story because she happened to be a mistress to a married man. So, therefore, when his wife told the story, she was included in the story. Of course, Martel is included because he was the husband to this said wife. At the end of the day, the bottom line is we all know the saying, it's cheaper to keep her. Okay? Most people don't want to get a divorce, especially if they have assets, especially if they own property. It's a lot of red tape. It's a lot. You know what I'm saying? And, usually most men take the hit more so than women. But here, everything was equal. And, they pretty much dissolved a lot of things. But, this is part of the problem. Martel feels like he has lost a lot. He feels like Mel has won in this situation, that she has become prosperous based on her story. You understand? And so we've all heard him say he doesn't want to film anymore. His kids, he's putting his kids first. Listen, Martel wants to film with Melody because he wants to get his props back. He wants to financially gain financially. You understand? He's letting Carlos get in their ear to say, the people want to see y'all. Y'all got to get back together. This and that. He has products coming out, his wine, books and everything. And they're not doing as good as he would like them to do. And so he feels like if he, looks like he's getting along with Melody, Melody's fans will support him. Melody's fans some will assume they're back together. Others will use wisdom and knowledge and know, that it's a put on. But at the end of the day, I don't know if he thinks we're crazy or stupid, or I don't know what he thinks or what Carlos King thinks. But they're doing it. They're trying it. You know what I'm saying? And so that's why the people are so amazed because, you just had boundaries. You just didn't want to film together. You just was so, whatever. But now everything is, together. And that's fine. That's a good thing. You know what I'm saying? Because it's a blessing for the kids. But, it's a whole whirlwind. It's a whole mystery. So thanks again, guys, for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you.